The experience is as universal as it is unsettling. You walk into a room, perhaps a new workplace or a social gathering, wearing your best intentions like a suit of armor. You are polite, you are engaging, and you are genuine. Yet, across the room you catch a gaze that is distinctly cold, a distant attitude that feels like a closed door. There is no history there, no past conflict, no logical reason for the icy reception. It is a phenomenon that haunts the quiet moments of our self-reflection. Why do some people seem to instantly dislike us, harboring resentment or hostility without an obvious cause? This immediate, inexplicable friction is one of the profound mysteries of human social dynamics. It is easy to internalize this rejection, to frantically search the archives of our own behavior for a slip of the tongue or a social faux pas. However, the uncomfortable truth and the liberating realization is that this animosity is rarely about you at all. It is a complex psychological projection, a tangled web of silent envy, unspoken insecurities, and the friction of clashing worldviews. To navigate the treacherous waters of social existence, we must look beneath the surface of these interactions, diving deep into the human psyche to understand the 9 invisible currents that drive this irrational dislike. By understanding them, we move from confusion to clarity, and from self-blame to stoic resilience. At the very heart of this inexplicable hostility often lies the corrosive influence of envy and jealousy. These are the shadow emotions of admiration. When someone meets you with immediate disdain, they may be looking at you, but they are seeing a reflection of what they lack. Jealousy is a shapeshifter. It rarely announces itself as such, because to admit jealousy is to admit inferiority. Instead, it transmutes into contempt. You may possess a quality, be it professional success, a natural charisma, a sense of inner peace, or even a specific lifestyle that the other person desperately desires but feels incapable of attaining. In this dynamic, you become a living, breathing reminder of their own perceived inadequacies. They do not hate you, they hate the deficiency they feel in your presence. As they look at your achievements, they do not see inspiration, they see a mirror reflecting their own stagnation or misfortune. To soothe the stinging burn of this inadequacy, the psyche employs a defense mechanism. It devalues the object of envy. If they can convince themselves and others that you are arrogant, lucky, or fraudulent, they no longer have to feel inferior to you. This is why envy so often births sabotage and slander. It is an attempt to level the playing field by tearing down the tower they believe you stand upon. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, we must not worry about things outside our control. The envy of another is an internal storm within them, a meteorological event of their soul that you cannot control and therefore should not take as a personal indictment. However, not all hostility is born of malice. Much of it is born of the fog of war that is human communication. We often assume that our intentions are transparent, that our kindness is self-evident, yet the chasm between what is meant and what is perceived is vast and treacherous. A single misplaced word, a tone of voice interpreted through the filter of someone else's bad day, or a facial expression caught at the wrong moment can plant a seed of resentment that grows into a mighty oak of dislike. These misunderstandings are the ghosts in the machine of relationships. When communication is ineffective, human beings fill the silence with assumptions, and rarely are those assumptions charitable. Without the clarity of active listening and open dialogue, a person may construct an entire narrative about your character based on a single flawed data point. They may perceive your shyness as aloofness, your confidence as arrogance, or your honesty as cruelty. Once this narrative is established, confirmation bias sets in. They will scrutinize your every subsequent action to find evidence that supports their initial mistaken judgment. Thus, a relationship is poisoned not by reality, but by a phantom, a version of you that exists only in their mind, constructed from the bricks of misinterpretation.
Deepening this divide is the fundamental clash of values and beliefs. We live in a pluralistic world, a kaleidoscope of moral frameworks, upbringings, and worldviews. While we like to believe we are open-minded, human beings are tribal creatures. We construct our identities around our values, our work ethic, our politics, our religious beliefs, and our lifestyle choices. When we encounter someone who operates on a fundamentally different frequency, it can feel like an existential threat. If someone values rigid tradition and hierarchy, and you walk in embodying creative chaos and egalitarianism, you are not just annoying to them, you are an affront to the way they organize reality. This friction creates a subconscious barrier. They may view your way of life as a criticism of their own. When beliefs are held dogmatically, difference is interpreted as danger. The hostility you feel is the person's immune response to a foreign idea. They build walls of judgment to protect the fortress of their identity. In these moments, the stoic wisdom of Epictetus is invaluable. We must remember that everyone is a product of their own environment and upbringing. Their rejection of your values is not a rejection of your worth, but a defense of their constructed reality. This defensive posture becomes even more aggressive when fueled by the unseen poison of rumors and gossip. There is perhaps no force more destructive to reputation than the whisper network. Often, the reason someone dislikes you instantly is that they have met you long before you actually walked into the room. They have been introduced to a caricature of you painted by the words of others. Gossip is a social contagion. It infects the listener with prejudice. What makes this particularly insidious is that once a rumor takes root, it acts as a filter. If someone has been told you are untrustworthy, every innocent mistake you make will be viewed as proof of your deceit. You are fighting a battle against a fictional version of yourself. This is arguably the most helpless position to be in, as you cannot defend yourself against accusations you haven't heard. The gossiper often targets you to bond with others or to deflect attention from their own flaws, using your reputation as collateral damage. The only antidote to this poison is time and consistency. By remaining steadfast in your integrity and refusing to engage in the mudslinging, you eventually force reality to conflict with the rumor. Truth has a stamina that lies lack, but in the interim, the hostility you face is real and painful. Digging deeper into the psychology of the aggressor, we often find the jagged edges of personal insecurity and projection. This is a complex reality often overlooked. When people have not confronted their own demons, they project them onto the nearest screen available, you. Seneca noted that we often despise in others what we fear in ourselves. If a person is deeply insecure about their intelligence, they may perceive your articulate nature as condescension. If they feel unattractive, they may read your confidence as vanity. This projection is a psychological survival strategy. It is far less painful to be angry at you for being too loud than it is to confront their own silencing fear of speaking up. You become the scapegoat for their internal struggle. The hostility they direct toward you is actually displaced aggression meant for themselves. Recognizing this does not excuse the behavior, but it changes the dynamic. You stop seeing a powerful enemy and start seeing a struggling individual fighting a losing battle with their own self-worth. You are merely collateral damage in their civil war. Furthermore, we must account for the sheer lack of empathy that plagues some individuals. In an ideal world, interactions would be governed by mutual understanding and compassion. In reality, many people navigate the world with a profound emotional blindness. Whether due to narcissistic tendencies or simple emotional immaturity, some people view others not as complex beings with feelings, but as objects, obstacles, or tools. When someone lacks empathy, they cannot bridge the gap between your experience and yours. They may treat you with disdain simply because you are not useful to them at that moment, or because your existence inconveniences them. This is not hatred in the passionate sense. It is the cold hostility of indifference. They may misinterpret your actions because they never bothered to consider your perspective.
This self-centered gravity well sucks in everything around it, interpreting the world solely through the lens of, how does this affect me? If you do not serve their narrative, you are discarded or treated with hostility. Understanding that this limitation lies within their emotional capacity, not your value, is essential for maintaining your peace.
This self-centeredness often bleeds into the realm of competition and rivalry. Humans are evolutionary creatures wired to compete for resources, status, and recognition. In many environments, be it the corporate ladder, a family dynamic, or a social circle, life is viewed as a zero-sum game. If you win, they lose. This mindset breeds a primal resentment. When competition ceases to be healthy and becomes obsessive, you become the enemy simply by existing and thriving. If you are competent, you are a threat. If you are well-liked, you are a danger to their social standing. This rivalry doesn't need to be declared. It often festers in silence. They may smile to your face while harboring a deep-seated wish for your failure. This is the hostility of the threatened ego. They dislike you because your potential limits their perceived dominance. It is a relationship defined by a scoreboard that only they are keeping. Similarly, hostility can arise when you inadvertently challenge the invisible cage of social expectations. Society is woven together by a tapestry of unwritten rules and norms. When you defy these by choosing an unconventional career, loving who you want, or rejecting traditional milestones, you hold up a mirror to the conformists. For those who have sacrificed their own desires to fit into the box of societal expectation, your freedom is an insult. It suggests that their sacrifice was unnecessary. They dislike you because you represent the courage they failed to muster. Your autonomy highlights their chains. Thus, they label you as difficult or weird or rebellious to invalidate your choices and validate their own submission. The resentment they feel is the friction between their suppressed true selves and the authentic life you are daring to live. Finally, we cannot ignore the deep human hunger for recognition. The feeling of being overlooked or undervalued is a potent source of bitterness. In a group setting, if you receive the praise or attention that another person feels they deserve, that deprivation turns toxic. It is the tragedy of the invisible person. They do not necessarily hate you, but they hate that the spotlight shines on you while they remain in the shadow. This lack of recognition festers. It is a silent scream for validation. When they look at you, they see the thief of their glory. This is common in families with sibling rivalry or workplaces with unequal praise. The hostility is a byproduct of their starvation for acknowledgement. Navigating these 9 currents, envy, misunderstanding, values clashes, gossip, projection, empathy deficits, competition, social pressure, and the need for recognition, requires a profound shift in perspective. The Stoic approach is not to harden your heart, but to guard your peace. We must realize that the cold looks and distant attitudes are rarely about the content of our character, but rather the context of the observer's life. You are not responsible for managing the turbulent emotions of others. You are not the architect of their insecurities, nor the keeper of their happiness. By understanding these hidden drivers of dislike, you can detach from the need for universal approval. You can step back and view these interactions with compassion rather than defensiveness. You can set boundaries with the toxicity while silently wishing them healing from the internal wars that make them so hostile. Ultimately, the most powerful response to unexplained dislike is to continue living your life with integrity, kindness, and authenticity. Let your character be so undeniable that the rumors starve for lack of sustenance. Let your success be so humble that envy chokes on its own bile. And let your self-worth be so rooted in your own values that the cold looks of others pass over you like clouds over a mountain.
present, perhaps, dark for a moment, but powerless to move you.